everyone, welcome to week 11 of English 101 Online. I am going to give you guys a quick go over with revising and editing our proposal letters because we're wrapping up essay 3 this week a little quicker than we usually do, but hopefully this essay hasn't been too difficult for you. So let's go ahead and get started. A few things. We do have blog post 3 this week, and then your final draft of essay 3 is going to be due next Monday. So I should hopefully get your drafts back to you within the next couple of days. And in the meantime, you can start revising kind of based on my suggestions in this video. So since we are approaching Halloween time, I wanted to give a bit of a real world letter writing scenario. If you've seen The Watcher on Netflix, it's a dramatization of an actual story of a family that moved into a neighborhood and started getting mysterious letters from a neighbor. So I wanted to use this as kind of a jumping off point for thinking about tone, style, and revision. So if you want, you can look up a video of what the story is about. But essentially, these family moves into a new house. The house was owned by someone previously, and someone in their neighborhood starts sending them creepy letters about how they feel about them being in the neighborhood. So I wanted to kind of look at one of these as an example. So this is one of the letters the family received. So it says, "Dearest new neighbor of 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How'd you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its forces within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I've been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It's now my time. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I'm in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I'm in one. Look out any of the many windows in 657 Boulevard and all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. You have children, I've seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I've counted. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. I am the Watcher." Super creepy. So I think as Halloween approaches, this was an interesting example of a letter, and it does some good and bad things in that it's really good at conveying that creepy tone, being really vague, the repetition of the watching, very, very weird. If you've not seen the Netflix special, give it a shot. It's pretty good for spooky watching. Obviously, though, you probably wouldn't have a positive reaction to this letter, partly because it's spooky, it's a little threatening, and it doesn't really say clearly what it's looking for. These are all things that we want to avoid in your guys' letters. So the rest of the video is going to talk about how to do this a little better. So while you're revising, a few things to keep in mind. Ask yourself the following. Will a reasonable person, the person I'm writing to, understand what I'm trying to say? Am I speaking directly to the person I'm writing to? Is my purpose clear? And then do I start and end strong? These are all things that I'm going to look for when I give you guys feedback on your essays. So remember that you have a specific audience, right? One person or a small group of people if you're writing to like the board of education or something. But for the most part, I want you to have a very specific audience and a very specific thing you are asking them to do or change, okay? So if you're not clear in what it is you're asking for, your proposal is going to be less persuasive because we're kind of inundated with ideas of things we should change all the time. But what is it about your request that makes it feasible, makes it realistic, makes it achievable for the person you're writing to? Alright, so for your introduction and conclusion, think about that first paragraph. Even though this is a letter and it's sort of a different format than we've done before, you still need a thesis. What do you want? And this person appease that request. Do you introduce yourself if it's necessary? Do you give a reason for reading further? That is what you want your introduction to do. And then your conclusion is really important in a proposal to think about not just kind of reiterating what it is that you want, but what you want your reader to do with this information. Okay, so you could suggest that they, if you're writing to the Board of Education, you could suggest they discuss this issue at their next meeting. If you're writing to your manager, maybe ask that you set up a meeting together to discuss the issue that you've brought forth. What should they do next? What's something that's tangible that this person can do with this information you've presented? So besides looking specifically at your intro and conclusion, I also want you guys to think about different ways you can do that. So here are a couple different conclusions, and I want you to think about the differences between them. So the first one says, "Thank you for reading my letter. I hope you have a great day." Although saying thank you is a great thing, this doesn't really give your reader something to do next. The next one says, "Improving daycare options at SWIC would help students in the long run. Thank you for reading my letter. I hope you have a great day." Again, I love the thank you. It's more specific, saying, what they want improved. But then the last one says, "I strongly believe improving daycare at the SWIC Granite City campus will benefit students, faculty, and our community as a whole." Misspelled students. "I hope you consider this proposal in making changes to our campus." This is better. It more specifically states what I'm looking for, and then also the considering this in next steps. So consider that when you look at how you've ended your letter. Alright, and then when you think about support, alright, so you've looked over your introduction, you've looked over your conclusion. Now let's talk about the examples and the reasons that you give. Remember in Essay 2 we talked about ethos, pathos, and logos? You can use all three of those things. Are you appealing to this person's sense of emotion? Are you giving them something to think about logically? And are you building your own credibility as someone that cares about this issue? So, is it clear why your reader should agree with you? Does each paragraph have a reason that ties back to the change that you're asking for? These are things that I'm really going to look for in the body of your essay. So once you've kind of revised for ideas, the next thing I want you to do is think about your formatting. Alright, so in MLA, a letter would be formatted like this. You'd have your address at the top, followed by the person you're writing to, a greeting, and then the body of your letter in paragraphs, and a signature. So these are the basic pieces I'm looking for in the formatting of your letter. This letter doesn't have double spacing or space between paragraphs. I would probably double space just to make it easier reading. And don't necessarily worry about indenting your paragraphs, but it's a different format than we've done before. And the last thing I want you guys to think about is editing. So let's look at this example here. Say this is the letter that you've drafted for your draft, all right? And I'm going to read through it, and I want to see if we can kind of notice where some editing needs to happen. So this one says, "Dear Mr. Mance, hello, my name's Olivia. I'm a student at SWIC, and I'm coming to you with a proposal I think would benefit not only SWIC, but for other students. SWIC has a lot of amazing classes, but today I wanted to give you an idea on a new class students could take that SWIC could offer. In today's world, employers lack communication skills, which then the employees suffer. Going to work and knowing your boss does not know how to properly communicate makes it harder than it should for you to work as a real problem nowadays." Ooh. So you notice how I kind of stumbled over my words at the end. There definitely is some editing needed here, both in terms of punctuation and sentence structure, maybe also a little bit of word choice. So I might recommend that that you read out loud so you can kind of hear where you're tripping over words and you're like, oh wait, I didn't actually mean that. So for example, here, this person says, "I'm a student at SWIC and I'm coming to you with a proposal I think would benefit not only SWIC but for other students." Kind of a long sentence, I think should have a space here. "I'm a student at SWIC, comma, and I'm coming to you with a proposal." I would probably maybe end the sentence here, or "I'm coming to you with a proposal I think would benefit not only SWIC, but other students," and then no comma here. And then things like "in today's world, comma, employers lack communication skills," and then maybe attach this sentence fragment here. But you want to make it clear what it is you're talking about. So making sure that your punctuation is relatively mistake-free and that your sentence structure isn't confusing to your reader. Here, if this was the introduction of their proposal, I don't really know what it is they're suggesting. Something about a communication skills class, but I'm not really sure how that applies to SWIC or what SWIC should do about it. So those are the suggestions I might give the student in improving what they've got so far. So consider this in your own proposal as well. How well have you edited? If you think that you don't edit too accurately, feel free to send it to the online writing lab to have someone else look over it for you, read it out loud, go to the Success Center with it. All of these resources are available to you if you feel like you're not a great editor. Alright, so hopefully that gave you some good feedback for Essay 3, and I am looking forward to reading the drafts.